I want to talk about something today that I genuinely think changes the way you see narcissists forever once you understand it. And I call it narcissistic nudity. Now, obviously, I do not mean physical nudity. There'll be no nudity, don't worry. I mean emotional nudity. I mean psychological nudity. And it's the moment where the mask slips so fast that you accidentally see the real person underneath it, even if it's just for a few seconds. And honestly, most people miss it completely because narcissists survive through image. Their entire life is built around perception. It's built around how they appear, how they sound, how they're viewed, how much control they have over the narrative, which means the real narcissist is usually hidden underneath layers and layers of performance. But every now and again, something tears the mask for a split second. And if you know how to spot it, it's honestly one of the creepiest things you will ever witness, because you suddenly realize the person you thought you knew is not actually the real person at all. Now, let me explain this properly. Most victims think the abuse is the narcissist. The shouting, the cheating, the manipulation, and the coldness that they give. But honestly, this is still often part just of their performance. The real narcissistic nudity is what happens in the tiny moments where they stop acting entirely. So they become the real them. And it is usually triggered by one of just a few different things. It's either triggered by exposure, humiliation, loss of control, rejection, or somebody seeing through them emotionally. That is when the eyes change. And I know some people watching this will instantly know what I mean. You say something that exposes them. And for literally 1 second, their entire face just drops. The warmth disappears, the charm disappears, the fake personality that they have going on disappears, their mask slips, and what replaces it feels cold, almost totally empty, almost like you're suddenly talking to somebody emotionally disconnected from humanity for a split second. And then, all of a sudden, the mask comes straight back on. And if you've never experienced this before, it sounds dramatic, but people who have dealt with narcissists closely know exactly what I mean. I think this is why so many victims become obsessed with trying to figure them out, because your nervous system notices these little moments before your logical brain does. You start feeling this strange disconnect between the person they pretended to be and the person you occasionally glimpse underneath. And narcissists hate those moments. They hate them because narcissists are deeply addicted to controlling the perception of themselves. That's why many narcissists care more about looking like a good partner than actually being one. I think you probably recognize that. And once you understand narcissistic nudity, you start noticing something else that's fascinating. Narcissists often reveal themselves mostly when they are around people they see as beneath them. So watch how they treat waiters, their employees, maybe younger family members, people with less status, or people they no longer need, because the performance weakens when there is no benefit in pretending. That's why some people say he was lovely around strangers but terrifying behind closed doors, because the public version was the costume. And honestly, one of the darkest examples of narcissistic nudity is during breakups, because this is often the moment the illusion fully collapses. A healthy person feels grief, sadness, reflection, and emotional pain. A narcissist often feels exposure, loss of control, damage to ego, and they panic about their image. That's why they can sometimes seem weirdly calm after destroying someone emotionally, or suddenly become vicious when they're rejected instead, because the emotional reaction is not always connected to love. It's connected simply to control. Now, by the way, if you're new here, just quickly, my name's Brandon. I have over 1 million people follow my daily insights across all social media platforms. And if you're finding this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video. Let me know what you found helpful in the comments and I'll get back to you. And consider subscribing because I make new videos every week. Now here's the part most people never think about. Narcissists often accidentally expose themselves through what doesn't emotionally affect them. That's the real clue. You crying might not affect them. Your anxiety might not affect them. Your exhaustion might not affect them. But embarrassment, disrespect, being ignored, or, for example, looking weak in public, this hits them instantly. And once you see that pattern clearly, you start realizing the emotional system underneath the person is completely different to yours. That's why victims leave these relationships saying it felt like they studied emotions without actually feeling them. Because many narcissists become experts at performing empathy without deeply experiencing it at all. And one of the things that I can say honestly, I think one of the most haunting things about narcissistic nudity is this. Sometimes the real narcissist only appears for a few seconds at a time. It'll be a stare, a smile at the wrong moment, a sudden coldness after hurting you, a complete emotionless reaction to your pain. And your brain struggles to process it because it clashes heavily with the version they present to the world. But once you truly see it, you won't unknow it. Not because you're feeling paranoid, but because your nervous system finally connected the dots between the performance and the actual person underneath it. And I think for many survivors, that realization is the beginning of finally emotionally detaching from them, because the illusion stops feeling safe. If this video helped, I'm going to put another one on the screen that I think you'll find super helpful too.